Now, I would like to take this opportunity on behalf of the FRSA board to congratulate the Albanese government on another term in office and to congratulate and welcome the recently appointed Minister for Social Services, the Hon Tanya Plibersek MP, and the recently appointed Attorney General, the Hon Michelle Rowland MP. I would also like to take the opportunity to thank the former Attorney General, the Hon Mark Dreyfus, KCMP, and the former Minister for Social Services, the Hon Amanda Richforth, for the significant contribution and support that they gave to the FRSA board and the impact they had on children, families and communities in their 3 years term. So now it is my great privilege and pleasure to introduce the Minister for Social Services, the Hon Tanya Plibersek MP, who will offer us a welcoming address. So Tanya, as you come up, let me introduce you very briefly. Tanya is the federal member for Sydney. From 2022 to 2025, she was the Minister for Education and Water in the first Albanese Labor government. She has served as a cabinet minister in the Gillard and Rudd government. She was Minister for Health, Minister for Medical Research, Minister for Housing, Minister for Human Services, Minister for Social Inclusion, and Minister for the Status of Women. Tanya, you were busy. So please join me in welcoming the ministers to the stage.
Thank you so much, Alison, for that introduction, and thank you, Stuart, for your very generous welcome. I couldn't believe it during the election campaign when people were talking about whether welcome was necessary. What a beautiful thing to be welcomed to a place and to learn something about that place and its people. And we are so very fortunate in Australia to have 65,000 years of history and culture to learn from, to enjoy, to share. And thank you for so generously sharing some of that with us this morning, Stuart. I would join Alison and I'm sure all of you in acknowledging that we're on Gadigal land this morning and in paying my respects to elders past and present and to extending that respect to any other Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people that we have here with us today. I also want to acknowledge the board members. Thank you very much for inviting me to speak to the conference. I want to give a special shout out to the DSS staff and the Attorney General's staff who are here. I'm very much looking forward to working with all of you in this new portfolio. And I really did want to particularly mention Lil Gordon, the Acting National Commissioner for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Children and Young People, and Professor Sharon Bessell, the Director of the Children's Policy Centre at the Crawford School of Public Policy at the Australian National University. I know that many of you here have experienced family, domestic or sexual violence, out-of-home care, institutional abuse or forced adoption, or maybe members of the stolen generation. And I particularly want to thank you for bringing your lived and living experience to share today and to inform the work of this conference. I know that that's not easy, and I know that you do it for the very best and most important reason, so that things change, so that things get better. So it's only been a week since I was sworn as a minister. And as you can imagine, in that week, there's been a lot of reading of budget papers and a lot of briefings at the department. But I have also made an effort to go out to visit some services that help women escaping domestic violence, services that help children who have experienced violence themselves, services that help people who are rough sleeping or who are marginalised in other ways. I've been to a few play groups as well, which I can tell you is a lovely little diversion. I can tell you every time I need cheering up, I'm going to go to a play group. And toy libraries. I'm going to another toy library later today, I think. So it's a week in, and I feel like I've got a lot more listening to do before I give a keynote speech at an event like this with so very many experts in your field. So I really wanted to come today for two reasons. I wanted to come firstly to thank you for the important and difficult work that you do. And secondly, to say how absolutely delighted I am that I will be working with you on that work. The theme of this conference says it all: safe, strong and thriving. Many, many years ago, I read a quote by John Dewey who said that what the best and wisest parent wants for his child, he said his, is what that must the community want for all its children. And I really, that quote has always stayed with me. I'm not sure that there's any such thing as the best and wisest parent, and I'm certainly not that. But I am completely convinced that every child matters as much as my own, and that all children are the children of all of us. And that's what we need to take into our work. It's my job, I believe, as the Minister, to support you to ensure that every child has the chance to be safe, strong and thriving. I've said it before, but this portfolio feels a lot like coming home for me. As Alison mentioned, I've been the Minister for portfolios like housing and homelessness, women and human services, and I worked with many people in this sector on the first National Plan on violence against women and their children. I worked with others on The Road Home, which was the white paper on homelessness and the actions that came out of that white paper. We delivered together Australia's first paid parental leave scheme back in the day. And I do genuinely feel like there are many people, as I come back to this area, there are many people who have been consistently doing the work in the years that I've been doing other portfolios. And it is such a pleasure to reconnect with so many of you again. Before I became a minister, or before I went into Parliament, I worked at the New South Wales Domestic Violence Unit, and my work then was a lot with frontline service providers. And I want to say how pleased I am to see so many of the advances that we've made in that time. Like, that's not to say that there's not still an enormous amount to do, but even having conferences that centred children at that time would have been quite a radical thing to propose. I really do feel like we have to, every now and again, remember to stop and smell the roses. And in a sense, it's easier for me because I've been away from the portfolio for a bit. In coming back, I think, wow, isn't that incredible? That was hard. That was hard argued. That was hard fought, that breakthrough. And now I see it in action. And it's enormously pleasing to see it in action. But for those of you who've been doing the hard yards all the way through, it's like, you know, when you see your own kids, you don't notice them grow, right? But you see someone that you haven't seen for 5 years and you go, wow, what a change. I do think it's really important to acknowledge the progress that you have made, because unless we acknowledge progress, it's hard to keep people motivated in this hard work. So over the next few months, I do really want to make sure that I'm really getting into the details with you of that progress that's been made, where it's taken us, what the challenges are that still remain, and what the opportunities are for further change. So I'll look forward to working with you closely on all of that. I know that many of you would have been part of the consultation undertaken earlier this year about the benefits of the child, youth and parenting programs that we fund as a government. And previously, many of you would have been part of developing the early years strategy. And I want to thank you for the work you did on that and for your insights. This is part of our effort as a government to make sure that the programs that we fund are fit for purpose, that they're delivering, that they meet the requirements and expectations of the families that we work with and of the people who work in your field. There's already, I believe, a strong national footprint to build on. We know that delivering targeted, meaningful and tailored programs nationwide is not an easy task, but we are seeing progress in a whole range of areas right across the country. Some of the ones that the the department have already pointed out to me as being great examples of good practice: the Smiths Family Steps to Starting School project, dedicated school readiness program that provides targeted support for children and their parents and carers in a play-based environment. Mind Australia's facilitated child and youth-focused groups at Penola High School in South Australia, identifying the unique needs of the Year 9 cohort. I can tell you I've got a Year 9 kid at home at the moment. Those needs are unique. I'm thinking more of the parents right now. And helping staff and students with ways of responding. I'll be reading that research with interest. Playgroup Australia, we're funding Playgroup Australia over $9 million to deliver children and parenting supports, and research with parents reminded us that 7 out of 10 parents think that playgroups are a great place to learn how to support children, how to support parents, how to teach kids, how to teach parents how to play with kids, and it's a great place to do that. Many of the services you deliver cover early intervention and prevention, family safety, strengthened relationships, parenting capacity, improved mental health, place-based responses, community building and national information services. I want to thank Family and Relationship Services Australia for the leading role that you are taking in the government's Families and Communities Service Improvement activity. Through this forum, FRSA is helping to shape social policy, working with other peaks and across government to ensure that we are best placed to be responsive to the evolving needs of the community we collectively serve. As Minister for Social Services, I'll be focused on ensuring our policy frameworks and programs are right for the people we serve and are backed by the best evidence and practice. As I said earlier, I really do want to hear from you about what's working, what needs improvement, what the challenges are that remain, and what the opportunities are. I'll just finish by saying this. Neither of my parents, or both of my parents grew up in what you would call an abusive situation now. And I feel always incredibly lucky that something changed between their generation and my generation. Their choices around parenting were very different to the parenting choices that their parents made. Very different information. I think it's so important, and the social workers in my life tell me this all the time, that we work with families in a strengths-based way because change is possible. You're here because you know that change is possible. We really need to make sure, and I'm here to say that I want to make sure that every dollar we invest in a government supports you to do that work with children and families that allows that change to happen in real life. This is not abstract. It's generational change for the better. And I'm so very honoured to have a small part in supporting you to do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Minister. I think on behalf of the FRSA membership and the board, I would just say welcome home. It's good to have you home. And we look forward to working with you and under your leadership to bring your vision and our vision to life. We know how busy you are and it's early days, so we greatly appreciate you making time. And we have